Hi, everyone, and welcome to Hello Word, the podcast where we dive into the fascinating world of English vocabulary. I'm Alex, your host, and today's word is asleep. Asleep is an A2 level adjective, which means it's great for beginner to intermediate learners. It means in a state of sleep. Simple, right? But there's a lot we can unpack about this word to help you use it more naturally in your daily conversations. Let's start with a basic definition. When someone is asleep, they are not awake. They are resting and often dreaming. For example, you might say, "The baby is asleep, so please be quiet." It's a word we use all the time to describe people or even animals when they are in that peaceful state of rest. Now, let's explore some synonyms. Instead of saying asleep, you could use words like sleeping or dozing. For instance, "I think Grandpa is dozing in his chair," means he's lightly asleep. Another synonym is slumbering, though it's a bit more poetic. You might read in a book, "The princess lay slumbering in her tower." On the other hand, let's look at a few antonyms. The opposite of asleep is awake. If someone is not asleep, they are awake. For example, "I thought you were asleep, but you're still awake." Another antonym is alert, which describes someone who is fully conscious and paying attention. You might say, "She was tired earlier, but now she's wide awake and alert." How can you use asleep in your everyday life? It's super practical. You might say, "I fell asleep during the movie because it was so boring," or "I stayed asleep all night, even though there was a thunderstorm." It's also part of common expressions like fall asleep, which means to begin sleeping, and half asleep, which describes that groggy state when you're not fully awake yet. Here are a few more examples in sentences. The cat is asleep on the sofa. By midnight, everyone in the house was fast asleep. Don't wake her up. She's finally asleep after a long day. So there you have it. Today we learned that asleep means in a state of sleep. We covered synonyms like sleeping, dozing, and slumbering, as well as antonyms like awake and alert. We also talked about how to use asleep in everyday situations and even shared a few example sentences. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Hello Word. If you enjoyed learning about asleep, make sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your support helps others discover the show. I'd love to hear from you, so why not create your own sentence using the word asleep and share it in the comments? I'll see you next time on Hello Word.